you always reached out to me when things got tough, obviously after the Bama loss.
I had people at times in my life that were there through times like that, but that were a lot more around when you get named a Heisman finalist.
Hey, if we went head to head, who's winning?
I think we beat you guys by 25.
You're tweaked out right now.
What's your thoughts about the narratives the media tried to build around you?
Before, like, I met you, it was like, oh, you don't want to be like Johnny and this and that. And it was like, oh, like, people were kind of making assumptions.
Walking in and people looking at you like you're growing a dick from your forehead because you are who you are. Like, people are looking at you and they're like, huh? Can you really be here? It's like, brother, you'll calm down. I've got the same English class that you got later. Diego Pavia, did we make more than $2 million this year from NIL?
Take a look around. Ain't it funny how feels like we're in a good old days. Go and grab a cup, go and fill it up. Cheers to living in a good old days.
All right, welcome to another episode of Glory Days, presented to you as always by PrizePicks. The guy I'm looking at right now, great friend of mine. He's a JUCO national champion, the reigning SEC Offensive Player of the Year. There's two of those on this call. A Heisman finalist, there's two of those on this call. And a guy who, in my opinion, single-handedly resurrected the Vanderbilt football program. No introduction needed. He's been controversially on your TV screens for the last couple years. Diego Pavia, my guy. How's training going?
Training is lit. I'm down here in Tampa at Yo Murphy's. It's been a grind. Just wake up 5:15 a.m., get to the facility no later than 6, grind all day, stay till 6, be home by about 6:30, go to bed about 8:30.
A little bit different tonight, obviously. Appreciate you doing this. We had a really cool conversation maybe like 5-6 days ago where I asked you if you wanted to come on this. We spoke about this process, right? What you just spoke about, the draft, expectations, what expectations you should have, which ones you shouldn't, where I feel I did myself a disservice walking into the combine, how that goes. And I think that's what, if you'll agree with that, what our relationship has kind of been, correct? How it kind of
Yeah.
started, if you want to speak on that a little bit about how it kind of came about and, what it's kind of consisted of for the most part and your thoughts and your words.
Well, it was just kind of crazy because, like, ever since watching the Heisman in 2012, it was like, shit, who doesn't want to be Johnny Manziel? You know what I mean? And then obviously last year when we first got on that ESPN show after we beat Bama, it was like, okay, I met you. And then I forgot the second time that we met. But then we just clicked, and then you just kind of gave me your advice of what you would and wouldn't do. You know what I mean? And so um, I've taken everything and digested it. You tell me, just be myself, be a grinder, get in early, stay late. And that's the kind of person I am. And so, for this draft process, there's people who are going to have their opinions about me, whether I do good, whether I do bad, you know what I mean? So I just got to be myself. And then all the other stuff will take care of itself. I mean, it don't matter where you get drafted nowadays. It's when you get your opportunity, just run with it.
And look, you took the college football world by storm after that Bama game. I was asked, as I was doing actually one of my first podcasts on Glory Days, about if I would want to do that and to hop on and have the opportunity to speak to you after being in a similar situation that I had going against Alabama was really cool for me. I saw the joy and the look in your face, and I've always, watched the way you played, especially in that game, and been like, okay, this guy is the first guy that's reminded me of myself. And you go back with a lot of expectation this year, right, of what you want to do, of goals you want to accomplish, a national championship, a Heisman, um, an offensive SEC player of the year. A lot of those things were similar in what I was going back to do. What was it like this year to go in with all the hype and all the expectation and have to deal with the criticism, have to deal with the media, and a lot similar to me as well, deal with the failure of not reaching every single one of those goals?
Yeah, it was intense for sure. I mean, we came up short in a few of the goals, and I blame myself. There's some things that I could have, done better in certain games, like the Alabama game, turning the ball over twice in the red zone. Um, and I was really hoping to get in the playoffs to see Alabama again, and really settle that one to one, who got the upper hand. And we were the hottest team at the end of the playoffs, or at the end of the season to get into the playoffs. But, you know, at the end of the day, we didn't deserve it. We went 10-2. We should have done better, but it's something that, you kind of got to live with and move on. And it's like, you got to go win a Super Bowl now. You got to go win a few of those and get those under your belt. And that's just the confidence that I got in myself.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
the other thing too is
Obviously,
I'd say I wanted to appreciate you because you always reached out to me when things got tough. Obviously after the Bama loss, you always said that we had everything out in front of us still, and then obviously the other instances too.
I had people at times in my life that were there through times like that, but that were a lot more around when you get named a Heisman finalist or when you beat Alabama the first time. And it seems to me that the way people are in life is they're around for the great, and when the going gets a little tough, that phone and those texts get a little bit shorter, and that
Amen.
just shows people's character to what they truly are. I care enough to sit there and know how you're feeling after you walk off the field in Alabama and the guys fucking I walked off pretty much right behind you guys, and I saw the guy to the left as you're going into the locker room.
Yeah.
I saw that guy chirping, he was chirping me. I didn't even play. I beat y'all's ass 10, 12 years ago. Fuck you still chirping about? I'm so in your head that you have to say something to me. So, I saw the same thing. I know that feeling and what it feels like. I know that lonely ass bus ride back or to the plane or whatever it is. I know what that
Oh,
feels
it's
like.
terrible.
So it's tough enough as it is where you need good friends around to be like, yo, especially ones that have lived it.
You know what MJ said though about people like that though, right?
Fuck them.
Basically, people who chirp at the end are scared of chirp winning 0-0, and at halftime,
Yeah.
he wasn't chirping, it was 0-0,
After the Alabama game, mine in 2012, my life changed going into that stadium that day and walking out. Yours changed in a similar way. How much did life change for you after that interview that, kind of went everywhere and was plastered on TV screens and social media for days and weeks and months to come?
I'm super thankful. Super thankful for guys like Eli Showers. Man, that kid's incredible. The rest of our team, look at this. Daddy, we're hurt.
I think that was like one of the craziest parts of my life where it was moving like 1,000 miles per hour. And, you get out you're dressing out, you're coming out, and like you try to come back out to the field to get, my mom and my brothers, because they always came and came in the locker room with us to our post game talk, and my heart's racing, and I can't find them. The security's not letting me out. There's fans all over the field, and it was just so crazy. And then I get to the locker room, and there's like 10 guys in there, and so we're like waiting for everyone. Nothing really happens. While I was walking off, though, I've I see this guy, kind of long hair, backwards hat, and it's Theo Vaughn, and so we dap it up, and he's like, "Yo, where you going tonight? Where you going tonight?" And I was like, "Pull up, Barstool tonight, Barstool tonight." And one of our guys, Rob, he rented out the whole top of Barstool for the whole football team. So everyone was in there, had a good time. But like when I went to go check my phone, um, there was just a lot of people reaching out. You just saw like a lot of blue check marks that were reaching out, you know what I mean? And just like a hell of a game. But I think the coolest moment was probably after the Tennessee game. AI called me on FaceTime. And I think just to, like, I've always had in my bio, practice, Allen Iverson. You know what I mean? So for him to reach out, it was like, holy shit. And then after that, I tried to get Future to walk us out against these other teams. Future saw my message, but he never responded to me.
We are officially in the best time of the year. NFL playoffs, championship games, Super Bowl around the corner. Every snap matters at this point in the season. And if you're watching the games anyway, you might as well make them a little more fun with PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 pick app, And honestly, it's the easiest way to win cash while watching sports. The app is super simple. You got player picks, you just choose more or less on a few player stats, and that's it. That simple. Not complicated lineups, no spreadsheets, nothing. Just more or less. Not feeling prayer props? They've also got team picks now. Pick the winner, pick the spread, pick the total, every major game, all in one place. PrizePicks is live in a ton of states, including California, Texas, and Florida. And player picks are available in even more. Just check your state at prizepicks.com. And if you're new here, here's the deal. Play your first $5 and PrizePicks will give you $50 in lineups. All you got to do, use code Johnny. Plus, you can follow me in the app at Johnny Manziel. You get my picks in real time, in the feed. You can roll with your boy. You know, it's good to be right. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. Nevertheless, PrizePicks has you covered. Yeah, so we're both buddies with Theo Vaughn, obviously a guy that, you know, I've got to meet a lot, being around you, being in Nashville. You know, talk about that friendship a little bit, stories that you guys, you know, we've spent time around him, obviously in New York this year. So just talk about a little bit about that friendship and that relationship that you guys have.
Bro, that guy is literally the best guy I've ever met in my life. Like,
He's
hands
at the
down,
top of my
like,
list to get on this podcast. He's at the top of my list to be on this podcast for sure.
dude, I think the best thing about him is he does not lose character when you're with him. You know, he's hilarious all the time. Dude, to see him in that suit at the Heisman ceremony was hilarious. And then he was like, dude, bro, that's my guy. Like he was like tearing up after the Heisman ceremony, and like we were just hugging it out, you know? And because he knew how hard it was, like, on me and stuff. Um, but yeah, dude, I I don't know, he's gotten PJs for us. He's like, one time we were in Vegas for the UFC fights, and he went out there, and he was like, "Dude, ride with me back. Like, I'll cancel your flight. We'll get a PJ back." So we canceled our flight, and he booked us a PJ back, you know, just so we could hang out with him longer. Like, he was just, dude, he's the ultimate fucking guy. You know what I mean? And like, that's my boy. Like, if I could pick it with someone, and you know, the people give you the question like, "Hey, who if you could eat dinner with three people, who would it be?" I would say probably you, Theo Vaughn, and Future Drake.
Nice. It's a solid three. You know, I saw a video the other day, and this is awesome. We could probably clip this in and stitch this in, but it was Ask the Aggies. And as a 18-year-old kid, I was asked who the three people that I wanted to party with. And without hesitation, my first person that I said was
I'm gonna have to go with Charlie Sheen, Rob Gronkowski, and we'll add Tiger Woods to the mix.
I don't really know if I missed on any of those, but I think that's just where I was at that point in time in my life. And it's funny, you know, you have those three, and it's cool when it maybe gets a chance to come to fruition. Charlie Sheen, I definitely want to have you on the pod, man. I think it would be hilarious. You know, you've spoke on being the runner up for the Heisman this year. I know how hard that was for you. As you sit back now and you've had time to reflect, what do you feel like you learned the most about yourself going through all of that?
I think it was like a competitive spirit thing. I wanted something so bad, you know, something that I dreamed of since I was a kid. And obviously it wasn't the right move. Obviously I made the mistake. I apologize for it. It just came out of like something that was just deep, and I wanted it for so many years, and it was just hard on me. You know, it felt like I lost almost like a brother or something. And you know, it's like hard for someone not in my shoes to understand of everything that I've ever wanted. Obviously, we all want to accomplish our dreams, and to fall so short, it was just so heartbreaking, and it was just difficult on me.
I think there's a lot of lessons, especially for, you know, that situation. You feel like you learned one. And the biggest thing is, right, when you want something so bad in life and it doesn't come to fruition. There's two examples this past football weekend that are great examples of how you handle those situations. How bad do you think that Josh Allen wanted to win that game last week?
Oh,
Pretty bad,
terribly
huh?
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He composes himself, walks to the podium, has to answer a barrage of questions, and handles it like a G. Caleb Williams watched that kick go through the upright, and he looks, and he just kinda, "All right, we gotta go shake hands. We gotta go handle this with class, and we have to move forward."
Yep.
And, I think that's any game, that's played in those situations, right? Yeah, I'm sure CJ Stroud is hurting, as bad as you possibly could after a game like last week. And I just see it now because I lose to the Chiefs in my last start ever, and I throw a terrible ball, play a terrible game. I take my helmet off, spike it on the field in the middle, and yeah, it shows you how bad I want to win, but it also shows you how big of a kid that I still am about how I don't handle tough situations of things that I want in the right way. So just a quick note of things that I've seen that to me are commendable and are prime examples of handling things the right way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I've learned from it, and, the same mistake won't happen. We always live by the thing of make some new mistakes, and so I'll go forward in life and I'll be fine and, I'll be good to go.
So obviously a lot of narratives, right, about everything in your life. From your brothers, you got a lot of attention. Your mom got a lot of attention. You and Theo got a lot of attention. Shit, even me and you hanging out got a lot of attention. What's your, thoughts about the narratives the media tried to build around you and the people close to you this year?
I feel like in order to judge somebody, and I feel like this goes with you too, because a lot of people um before like I met you, it was like, "Oh, you don't wanna be like Johnny," and this and that, and it was like, "Oh," like, people are kinda making assumptions until you meet the person, you know what I mean? And so but who cares? I really only care about the people who, are around me, and, um, obviously the decision makers, I care about them, and I care about obviously, they care about their franchise, they wanna make the right decision of who's gonna be in the room, and I want them to know that, I'm full business. That's why you haven't heard about ever since I got out of, college football, you haven't heard about me doing, um, little dumb stuff, and you won't, and so, obviously, my family, yeah, they're my family, they're my blood, I got their back regardless.
Here's a great question then based off that answer. Do you envision them going to wherever you're going?
As far as, living with me,
Not living with you or living in the same town or, either one of those things.
I don't know, I would probably have my mom live with me, um, just because I don't know, just so I have, somebody with me.
Yeah, no, I wish I would've done that with my family, to be honest. I wish I would've put, my mom or my dad with me probably for, a year. My mom actually did come up and probably stay with me in Cleveland for 3 weeks during the fall of my first year. That was probably a big point and the first time I knew things for me were really going downhill, when I couldn't look her in the eye and I was doing my lifestyle was different whenever she was around. And, yeah, I think, your mom being there is obviously great. More time in the building and more time with family and friends because your first year is the most important. Like, for me, I got behind in the playbook because I was enamored with my relationships with, the business side of things or the fun that came with it, and for me, I got behind and I never caught up. It'll take you 3, 4, 5 full years to really, learn to where you get to the point and you're behind center and you look and you see positions of people on defense to know where that guy's going, where this guy's going, this, and that, what coverage it is off rip. Every time you're not in the building working on that, you're sacrificing a little bit of time that you could be growing towards that.
Like, right now, that's what I was before I got on the call, fucking working on this stuff right here, just trying to get down some plays and stuff and, get in and out the huddle, talking about alerts, kill plays, things like that. We're going over the
Protections,
protection. Oh, yeah.
protections,
You'll figure
huge.
out if you can protect yourself, you'll figure out the coverage by doing that. And then,
Just know when you're hot. Keep your block on your head.
no, I think I'm really good at protections right now, so
Diego Pavia, did we make more than $2 million this year from NIL?
I can't answer that.
Okay, finally. Fine, I'll take that as a resounding yes. Cheers to that. You know, there's obviously some talk that you might fight for NCAA for another year of eligibility, you know, especially with kinda like what happened with Quinn Ewers last year. What ultimately led to your decision to not do that and move in the direction of the NFL? Because your life at Vanderbilt was fucking like my life in College Station, except more free. I mean, we go to Kid Rock Steakhouse when I went to go, like, maybe take care of some of the bill. They're like, "No, no, Diego doesn't pay here." I'm like, "What? Fuck this guy, bro. This is like the perks of the NIL." And then, like, you know, from Broadway to everything else, you were living a different life in Vandy. It was a good one.
Well, the city of Nashville is the greatest city, I think, alive, but it was a great life, but the reason why I decided, to not go and challenge the NCAA is because, 1, I feel like, uh, yeah, the money would have been good to go back, but I think there will never be a team assembled like the one we had at Vanderbilt this past year, just like all the guys top to bottom, it just made so much sense, and teams are going away. It's like 1-year contracts, there's no real, like, team camaraderie anymore. It's not like hanging out with the boys no more, it's just like, people in and out, and it's kinda you don't get to form as many relationships, like, I only know, like, 50% of the Vanderbilt team now, and I'm only gone for, I don't know, a month now, so, like, that aspect kinda sucks for me, but then, like, I just thought, like, this would be the best year for me, like, I've played so much college football, I played 6 years and never sat behind anybody, you know what I mean? Think about how many games that is of college football, like, I've seen enough defenses, I've seen, um, everything possibly that you could see in college football. I feel like I'm ready for the NFL, I want this is my, crack at it, and so I wanna see what the next step is. I wanna see, these crazy exotic defenses. I wanna see, people tell me, "You can't do this, can't do that." Well, I wanna test it. I wanna test it in NFL. And I saw the other day Cam Ward, he was like, "I figured out, yes, you can throw back away from yourself across the middle in the NFL." So I just wanna test, is my game good enough, really?
To continue on the NCAA, you know, you and 26 other players are fighting for the eligibility rights of JUCO players in a lawsuit against the NCAA. How'd that come about, and what are your true feelings on how that ends?
I remember it was before the Alabama game, you're doing your walk through your stadium, and before we get to the hotel, because the hotel is basically in the stadium, uh, my lawyer now, his name's Ryan, approached me, he was like, "Hey, my name's Ryan," and he kinda kept on going on, but I really wasn't listening, I'm trying to get prepped before the game, and then he was like, "I think I get it basically, I think I get you an extra year of eligibility. Here's my card, give me a call." And at the time, my best friend was my agent, he was living with me, and because, there's no real NIL agents anymore or ever been, but so my boy was my agent, and I was like, "Here, give this guy a call and, see what he wants." So he gives him a call, figures out what we want. We beat Alabama, and the next day, it's like Sunday at 12, uh, coach lets us have off Sunday. We go to eat with him, and he's just telling us how he can for sure get me an extra year, and I was just like, it made sense. Um, we kinda it was like we knocked on the door the first year in the SEC, and then this past year, we were able to, get through it, and I think Vanderbilt's gonna be good for a really long time now.
You know, I think that's amazing what you're doing, you know, sticking up for people who have been on the similar path as you. I think I'd do the same thing, for guys who are a little bit more on the wild side in college, who don't make the best decisions, to try and give advice and help guys who are looking for it. And that's in any sport in, you know, this country or the next.
Yeah, the thing that Coach Lee, like, obviously, I got, um I wouldn't say in trouble is the word, but, uh, kinda
A
was like,
stern talking to.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And Coach Lee would be like, "Dude, you're young, you're 23 years old. Your frontal lobe isn't fully developed until you're 25." You know what I mean? So, like, you gotta give these people a chances until they're 26, so that's what he always told me when I got in trouble, and he was always there when I was in trouble, always there, and he just It was like he knew what the right thing to say to calm me down and just focus on the next week.
Yeah, it's same thing in the NFL, man. You have a very quick process of getting over things and getting your mind in a place where you can move forward and let things flow off your back and not let too
Yeah.
many things stick with you for too long. I think if that's one thing I can say about my life is I looked in the rearview mirror of my life for too long instead of looking forward and controlling what I can control and moving on with my life. That's the same for on the field, off the field, wherever it may be. You look at Ole Miss as Trinidad Chambliss, and he's fighting for the exact same thing you fought for last season. He wants one more year of eligibility at Ole Miss. I think the guy's an unbelievable talent. And right now they've said no, like we'll see what it ends up playing out like. Have you seen a little bit about that?
I think he's a heck of a talent. That play that he made against Georgia was crazy. But he's been making plays all year. And I know me and Coach Kiffin got to build a relationship too. So he would always talk about Chambliss and how good he was when he was at Ole Miss. But yeah, I think they should give him an extra year. You know what I mean? Let him go ball out one more year and then come out and be – dude, if Ole Miss gets him back, you don't know what they're going to do. They're going to be one of the hottest teams in college football.
I want to talk to you about something real for a minute. Mental health. It matters, man. Look, I've had plenty of times in my life where things were moving fast, pressure, expectations, noise, and I've seen firsthand how much therapy can help people get their head right. I've got friends and teammates who have used therapy to work through stress, relationships, or just to stay grounded, and every one of them says the same thing. They wish it had been easier to get started. That's why I like what Rula is doing. Rula is a healthcare provider group that makes therapy simple, affordable, and fast. They work with most major insurance plans, and the average session copay is just around $15. That's less than a night out. That's less than a meal, and way, way more valuable for your long-term mindset. With Rula, you answer a few questions about what you're looking for, and they match you with a licensed therapist who actually fits your needs. No long wait list, no guesswork. You can be talking to someone as soon as the next day. Therapy isn't weakness, it's a tool. And Rula makes that tool easy to use. Thousands of guys have already used Rula to finally get the care that they need. So don't keep putting it off. Go to rula.com/Johnny and get started today. That's RULA.com/Johnny and get the help that you may need in your life today.
I want to talk a little bit about statistically, an unbelievable 3-game stretch. Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, 1,200 yards passing, 11 touchdowns. Add another 200 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. When you get on a streak like that and you get in your zone, I know what it feels like. But how does it feel when you get hot like that?
It's different when you get to drop him back and just launching bombs. You're just connecting on all levels. But I think it's like at practice too. The same thing's happening, so it just like comes at second nature. And then you're drawing up these plays. We had this guy in our locker room. His name's Jordan Matthews.
I know Jordan Matthews.
Yeah. He came out the same year you came out.
Yeah, 100%. We played against him.
Hey, if we went head-to-head, who's winning?
I think we beat you guys by 25.
You're tweaked out right now.
Who's going to guard Mike Evans? Who's going to pass rush on Jake Matthews?
That's the only problem.
Jake Matthews, Luke Jokel. My 2012 team versus your best squad, you guys get stomped.
But this is my question, though. Who are you guys going to put up 70? Because we're putting up 40 to 50.
Against our defense in 2012, I think you guys would score maybe like 35 points. I think if we played our 2012 team, it would have been a lot tougher. That was our best squad. But, that 2013 year, I think that game probably ends like 63-60 type of game. And it could probably go either way.
I like that. But you guys did have Mike, and Mike's a fucking killer.
Yeah, we had a lot of good players. It's always we, never me in a lot of things. You're same way, your brothers there at the Heisman Trophy with you got you to be able to get to that stage. Mike and Jake and Luke and Swope and all the guys got me to the same place. They know that. I know that. And, football takes a village, man. It takes,
that's true.
A guy like Jerry Kill behind the scenes. It takes a guy like, your offensive line. It takes guys like, players on defense making a huge play, your running back. It's like, as much as you want to do it on your own, you can't. I know what it's like to have a huge impact on a college program, one that, changes the program forever. And there's not a player really that's meant more to a program in college football the last 2 years than you have to Vanderbilt. So what's that legacy feel like? that you're leaving behind?
Dude, I don't know if it's hit me, you know, in that aspect of how, obviously you just said it, but I think, like, for example, the basketball teams this year, I feel like are just coming with some different energy. So I think just the energy all around, whether that's our women's team is crazy, our men's team is going crazy right now, and I think it trickles down from, football, and so I think just the imprint that you can leave on not just the football team, but the sports in general from basketball to baseball. And I was fortunate enough to build a close relationship with Coach Corbs, the greatest baseball coach of all time at Vanderbilt. And he's taught me things that I never would have known, and he says that that I've changed the culture and things like that. But like he's the greatest to do it. So hearing it from like him is obviously special, and so I just think being able to come back and obviously support them down the road is probably gonna be the most special part about all of it, though. And obviously, I wanna see them win, like, they better win.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I want for my team, right? That's all I want for Texas A&M being undefeated until the Texas game this year and then ending with 2 losses is just, like, such a devastating, heartbreaking thing for me because it's so close, yet for us, once again, hopes up, hopes diminished, "Oh, it's next year." Like,
Right.
is it? It's not easy to win. You get so many shots. I got 1. I got 1. I'm 5 kicks away from a national championship.
Damn.
I'm 8-4 in my next season. Disappointment, hurt, but I play like the way I did in the Duke game, and it's like, okay, you're riding a high. You already have everything set up. You're signing with an agency, and Mike's leaving. And can I really do this without him? I don't know that Christian Kirk is coming in the next year. I don't know that Miles Garrett is coming in. I feel like my time is shot. I feel like it's over. I want to grow up. I'm tired of getting in trouble for money and this and that and a spotlight and a bubble and the police on you in College Station and the whispers and walking in and people looking at you like you're growing a dick from your forehead because you are who you are. Like people are looking at you and they're like, huh? Can you really be here? It's like, brother, you'll calm down. I've got the same English class that you got later. I'm not that special. I play ball. I'm not curing cancer. I do something that's great, that's idolized, but I'm not, I'm not that. And
100.
then, I wanna get to the NFL. I wanna live my dreams. I wanna see what it's about. I think it's one thing, it turns out to be another, and, like, what you spoke about earlier, the best thing for you, I'm gonna take that as a shot, by the way. The best thing for you is is moving on and testing yourself at the next level. It's what you feel like you deserve, right?
Yeah, I think it's like what every real competitor wants, is like, "Shit, bring it," you know?
Play the best. Play the
Hell
best.
yeah. I wanna play against the best.
Another Vandy legend was Jay Cutler. Have you got a chance to be around Jay at all? Have you got a chance to meet him? Because, as I was in the league, I went to we played Chicago my second year preseason. Josh McCown took me to dinner with Cutler, and I thought it was fucking awesome. I love that guy. We watched a lot of film on him. He would throw it into any coverage, just absolutely sling it.
He's got the biggest balls of all time, I'll tell you that. Like, he's just he's a gangster, you know what I mean? He's just like he's awesome. He's composed too. Um, I got to meet Jay, I think the first time at, like, practice or something. He came to practice, got to meet him there. He came to a few games this year, I got his number. I even texted him, um, before, like, I came out here, and I was like, "Hey, you got any advice for me?" And he was just like, "Be yourself, be confident, go in there, have some, smart stuff to say." He's like, but then at the end, he, like, did a return, and he's like, "But do not be a square." You know? And it was just like, dude, I like this guy, and he plays hoops, so I wanna get with him and play some hoops. But yeah, I think Jay, I used to watch him because I used to be a Patriots fan, so I used to watch him duel it out with Tom Brady, in Chicago in the snow and, fight for those divisional, to get to the obviously the championships and stuff like that.
Jared Curtis, obviously decided to commit to Vanderbilt. You probably had a big piece in that. Highest rated recruit in school history. We both know it's not always about the highest recruit or what stars, but a lot of hype, a lot of excitement about him being in the Vanderbilt program. What was your role in that?
Yeah, the first time I met Jared was I went to a game with my friend, Josh Smith, and he owns this steakhouse nightclub kind of thing in Nashville, and that's how I got to meet him. And his son plays safety over there, so I really wanted to go watch his son play safety. They're playing a good 6A team. It's our bye week. Go check out some Nashville football, and I'm there, and I'm sitting on the bleachers and stuff, and I'm watching this kid sling it. I'm like, dude, does that kid have offers? And he's like, dude, chill out. He's committed to Georgia. You know what I mean? And I was like, no way. Like he's got to stay at Vandy. So he throws a touchdown, and I'm sitting like on the bleachers, the first row, and he comes up by the sideline, and he was like, yo, Pavia, we shook hands and stuff. And then after that, he followed me on Instagram. So I followed him back, and I DM'd him, and I was like, yo, like, you need to come to Vanderbilt. And then so I got his number, and I called him that night, and I was with Theo. And so me and Theo FaceTimed him and was like convincing him to come to Vandy. I ended up going in on that must have been like a Friday night. I ended up going on Sunday because we had Sunday practice to watch film, and he was in there watching film with Coach Beck and Coach Kill and the GM. And I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna happen, And then so they got the money right. He wanted to come. We ended up getting him to flip, and obviously he's got an all-world arm. He's got all-world talent. But there's a kid, Blaze Berlowitz, at Vanderbilt right now. He was my backup at New Mexico State for a year, and then he was my backup at Vandy for these past 2 years. So he's been in the program, been in the system for 3 years. Exact same system.
Got 2 left. He's got 2 left to play?
Yeah, he's got 2 left. And that kid is a grinder. The locker room loves him. It's going to be a real competitive quarterback battle in Nashville this year. And I'll be excited either way it goes. I'll be excited.
You've had some great coaches, right? You talked about last year at Vandy, what it meant to you, but talk to me a little bit about Jerry Kill and how influential he was in your life.
This is this crazy story about Coach Kill. A lot of people don't know he's had stage 4 cancer twice, beat that. He had cancer. He figured out, I think he had cancer game 3. He figured out he had cancer. Still rode with us the whole season this past season. He's getting treated for it now. He's just a soldier, and so that's something that I really like. And then at New Mexico State, I felt at times that he was the person who was the realest with me because I was in and out of the starting lineup my first year. And I went up to him and I just straight up told him, like, hey, how can I be back like the starter, And so he told me straight up what I needed to do: take care of the football, get rid of the ball, and win the game. And he was just he was brutally honest with me. He said, the first games you turn it over too much, this and that. And I was like, all right, like, I'll do what he says. And then after that, he was so real. He retired after our 2 years in Mexico State. Everyone went to Vandy. And at that time, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life, so I hit the portal. And I was committed to Nevada. And he was in Mexico drinking margaritas. He calls me on a boat, and he's like, hey, I've been telling all these teams you're coming to Vandy. I just took the chief of staff at Vanderbilt. I'll see you when you get here. And this is when I'm on a visit at Nevada. And my mom loves Coach Kill just because of the warrior he is, of how he's treated me at New Mexico State, how he's always had my back at New Mexico State, because there's some stuff that, never came out with Coach Kill at New Mexico State because he's so real. And so it was like a no-brainer. And then I went to Vanderbilt. He took care of me. He knew, what I could do. And he was like, he basically told people, "Let me handle Diego and the offensive side, and you guys worry about the rest," you know? So the offense, Coach Kill basically took care of the offense, and then Coach Lee basically took care of the defense.
If you've ever been a pouch guy, you know how it goes. Morning driving, hanging out at work, after a workout. Half the time you're reaching for a pouch without even thinking about it. And I started realizing that my sleep wasn't great, recovery from the gym felt slower, and I was still wired late at night. That's when I found Ultra pouches. Ultra gives me the pouch experience I actually like. The flavor, the burn, the kick, but without nicotine or caffeine. And yeah, they're really good. They're packed with natural nootropics designed for mental clarity and focus. And I get a calm, steady flow state instead of jitters or crash. Since using Ultra pouches, I've noticed better sleep, smoother energy during the day, and way better focus when we're recording or I'm just handling business. It's the same habit, just a much cleaner experience. And they're trusted by athletes, entrepreneurs, and high performers all over, which makes sense when you try them. Ultra is the ultimate guilt-free pouch, delivering instant focus and mental clarity without nicotine or caffeine. New customers can use code Johnny to get 15% off at takeultra.com. That's takeultra.com for 15% off with code Johnny. On this pod, we've had another JUCO guy who won a JUCO natty in Cam Newton. He talked about how without the experience, he would have never gone on to win the Heisman or have the career he had. You know, how much did that experience at New Mexico military set you up for the player and the leader that you would eventually become and are still becoming?
I think it taught me the most when it comes from a discipline aspect of like, dude, I'm waking up 6 o'clock. First thing you do, make your bed. Like I go to my bed right now, it's made. You know what I mean? And I think just that discipline, and you go check my GPA in JUCO, I had a 4.0 my first year and a 3.8 my next year. You know, and I thought like that taught me so much discipline of like get your work done. And then you know, I still had time. It taught me time management too, of just like these time slots you can't be there's a time and place for all of it, you know, the off season, things like that, you know. And obviously, yeah, we had our fun this year, but it was only if we won, you know. And so, you know, you win, you have fun. I didn't have the Johnny rule in my book.
It's probably a good thing, you know. You got to see where it got me, and you've done things similarly but differently at the same time. And
You were
I guess
living a
next
different
question is,
life though.
yeah, I mean, I was in a different time. I was in a different time. It's hard to even compare as much as people want to.
Because it was just when social media was coming out. How'd you get like linked up with Drake though?
I would get on my computer as I was in class. You would open my computer up. You'd go to Safari on my Mac. October's very own .blogspot.com was my home website. I saw every blog. I saw every piece of merch that was posted. I bought a piece of merch. His buddy Nico recognized my name on a mailing list and said, "Thanks for supporting this." And not being like everybody else in your position and reaching out and asking for it. And that's one thing about me is I don't enjoy asking people for anything, you know? That's just, you know, something I don't really enjoy. I mean, even with you, I mean, I think the only time that I like really kind of reached out, maybe asked for anything was to be able to be on y'all's sideline for the Bama game because it was really hard for me to be in that stadium. It's not in my nature, really. It's not what I like to do. I'd rather be the person doing favors for people than, you know, asking for them. So, you know, I supported, I bought the merch. He recognized my name, invited me to Toronto. The rest is history. You know, if you think about it, very different times from where Drake was in his life to where he is now. And, you know, I was 19, he was probably 24, just coming off the Take Care album. His life was just starting to blow up. So, similarities through sports and music have been around for a long time, and we developed a relationship and a bond that still lasts to this day.
Hey, I like Drake and I like Future too, you know? And have you tried to get them back to link up?
You know, I'm gonna go back and, you know, resort to one of your answers from an earlier question, which is I'm not gonna touch that one. But for me, I have got to have a good relationship with both of them. You know, I think you'll see in due time that their relationship is at a place where, you know, it can it can probably be mended, and hopefully we'll get a chance as fans of everything to hear more and see more, you know, music and collaborations from them. They're both for me as well, two of my favorite people that I still enjoy listening to this day. The one thing that people know about you, and if you put a poll out there on people and what they think of Diego Pavia, right? The one thing that people are going to say is he's extremely confident in himself. There's no doubt about that,
Amen.
right? You've let that be known. You've known what it is. It's something that you take pride in. As you move into this next step, right? And you walk into that locker room for the first time, I'll tell you one thing that I promise you, those motherfuckers don't give a fuck what you did. They don't give a
Man,
fuck that you beat Alabama. They don't give a fuck that you're the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. They're going to know that you're confident, know who you are, and they're going to give you an opportunity to start from scratch. A way that I went wrong for me was I didn't temper my expectations in certain things. You know, I had Super Bowl aspirations when I couldn't get into a meeting on time. You see the disconnect of like what that is. You think at this point in your life with how much you've done that you're prepared for that. And, you know, as you move forward, you know, an unbelievable goal to have for yourself is to do what we talked about the other day. Let me tally my days of being in here early every day and showing myself through time and through reps and through preparation that I'm ready to be this. If you do that with what we talked about, the great things that you want in life will come. You know, I wish I would have had a better goal of like be prepared ultimately for my first start, win my first NFL game, because some guys do, some guys don't. And if you do the things we spoke about and you look at the guys who have won Super Bowls and study what they've done, they give you the blueprint. The blueprint to greatness is there. It's there in Tom Brady, it's there in Joe Montana, it's there in a ton of different guys throughout the past of history. So, you know, nobody's going to care. Everybody's going to give you a fair shot. And, you know, keep that confidence internally, but you know, you voiced it a ton, and that's just one thing that, you know, I would personally say. I
hell
remember
yeah.
being in high school and not having very many opportunities at the beginning to go play high level college football. You had that same thing, you know, right? You walk on at a JUCO, no FBF offers. You turn around and resurrect New Mexico State. Then you go to Vanderbilt and you do the same thing. You end up in New York as a SEC Offensive Player of the Year, a Bama Slayer, and you're on the Heisman stage. So, what's the vision in your mind now of what comes next?
I think one, it's all I can ask for is a fair opportunity. Um, and that's all I want. You know that. I'm a competitor. Like this is all I've ever wanted. All I've ever dreamed of as a kid was playing football. Like this is all I know. Like this is all I want, you know? And so like for basically a dream to come true of an opportunity just to play the game at the NFL level, you know? Obviously it's going to be up to a GM, a head coach to take a chance on me and draft me and stuff like that. I'm gonna be super grateful. I'm gonna give everything I got, and I'm gonna earn the respect of the people in the locker room. I'm gonna do what it takes to be the leader in the locker room. You know, get there early, stay late, do whatever the guys need me to do. Like that's the type of guy I am. That's the type of player I am. The type of teammate I am. I'm gonna be there for them regardless. Just how I am. You know, like you can go back to my JUCO people back then. Ask them who I was. You know, I'm the same person I am. I'm gonna be the same person. I'm gonna be the ultimate competitor, and I'm gonna win football games.
As you go through this training process, what do you think you're working on most as you gear up for the Senior Bowl and the Combine? What parts of your game do you feel like you're trying to be like, yo, I need to up my game in this area? Probably one, as you know, taking snaps under center a lot more. Like, what things do you feel like you're working on as you get ready for the Senior Bowl and as you get ready for the Combine as well?
Yeah, I'm working on obviously the 40, 5, 10,
Ha,
5.
hey, got a bet for you. Got a bet for you.
I wanna hear it after this one. What you got for me?
Okay, bet.
So the 40,
$1,000
5,
you
10,
don't run
5.
$1,000 $1,000 you don't run a better 40 than me.
I got 1,000 to run a faster 5, 10, 5.
Oh, he
Maybe
doesn't want
we
the
can even
40
up
bet?
the price on that one.
I'll do 1,000 apiece on each.
Okay, that's fair. Fair game.
That's a
But yeah,
that's a
and then
deal.
I'm working under center. It's just like a different kinda language that I'm learning. And then, like, my stance too, sometimes I would get wide with my back leg, and then sometimes I would get wide with my front leg, so just cleaning up my footwork in the pocket and stuff, and then
For
we're not
sure.
messing anything with my arm, just letting it fly. And it's getting better. I'm working with Daryl, so that'll be good too.
Yeah, I'm sure you've already heard it, but 2 things that I really still struggled with that I didn't necessarily, get a lot of coaching on in my pre-draft stuff. Number 1, false steps under center. You really need to
Yep.
punch and pivot out of your, trans center quarterback exchange. That's a huge thing. False steps are gonna lead to broken toes, stepped on foot. It's tough because you do want a false step, making sure you're working with new centers, getting the ball exchange. That's a huge thing. And then as you get into your meetings post-combine, pre-draft, and you go travel to these teams and work out for them, they're gonna make you throw a lot of big boy throws, what they think in their opinion. Like, I worked with the Minnesota Vikings. They made me throw 25 bang eights in a row. Wham, 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 one after another. Their GM didn't give a fuck if I could do anything other than throw a fucking bang eight over and over and over and over again. That and work some, opposite side hash comebacks. Those are huge. Just makes you feel your arm strength, gives you confidence. Like there was a throw in the playoffs this week. It was Stafford being
Oh,
opposite
he's
hash,
nice.
throwing an out comeback to Devontae that was just like, yo, who in their right mind throws that ball if it's inside and late? It's gone. The game's over. And he completes it. And it's just like, there's certain things that like he's learned that through repetition that you do so much where you're just like, I see it, I fling it, I go. Let me pose another question for you before I forget this, right?
Okay.
You guys, you go to your new team, right? You're the backup. You guys are 7-0, and you get done with your Monday workouts, and all the boys are wanting to go out to celebrate on a Monday night. What's your thought process on it right now?
Is the starter going?
That's a great question. No.
I ain't going either.
Okay. And if he
But
is,
what if he is, I got his back. Like I'm
we
the
ride
backup,
with
you
the
know what I mean?
boys. We ride with the
We ride
boys.
with the boys. Yeah. If the starter's going, I gotta have his back. Like that's my job. I feel like it's to look out after the starter.
It's getting late. We're going to get you back. You got an early morning. Final question. It's time for our question of the week presented by PrizePicks. Use code Johnny. Play $5, get $50 in lineups. In every episode, I like to ask our guests, if you had to choose one word to define your glory days, what's that one word for you that you're using to describe your glory days in your life?
Winner.
I love that.
Wow.
Explain a little bit more.
Never had a losing season. Never had a losing season in my 6 years. Never had a losing season in high school. Never had a losing season in Little League. All I need is a chance. You know what I mean? And shoot, I can't wait to get an opportunity to NFL.
Well, brother, I think you'll definitely get that opportunity. We'll continue to talk more as we always do. For taking the time out of your day, your training, your schedule. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you. My team thanks you. Keep grinding. Keep your head down. You got my number. If you ever need anything, I'm one text, one phone call away. I hope the family's blessed. I hope you're doing what you need to be doing and continuing to grow in life as a person and as a football player, my brother. Much love. I appreciate you. And like I said, I'm always here.
Bet. Appreciate you, Johnny. Love you, brother.
Love, brother.